What's up, Shab, with you? I figured I'd show you what I do kind of in my spare time, and that's make mead. I've already got about 2 pounds of wildflower honey in this jar, along with a little bit of water. I had another pound. This is some leftover I had. So we're going to do that. Started making mead, I don't know, a few months ago. Probably, like half a year or so ago. And enjoy it. Something I like to do in my spare time. And I don't get crazy and fancy. I'll probably make this one's going to be a blueberry that I'm going to use an extract with. I'll show you what I'm dealing with here. I just made a raspberry. This is a blueberry that I'm going to make. I'll probably add about 3 or 4 tablespoons of that. I have done a mallow meal, an actual blend with blueberries and stuff, but it's kind of a pain. I like to make it as simple and easy as possible. And in that way, it's just easier for everybody. Bought one of these digital scales, which I highly recommend. Not this kind though, because this sign's always off. No matter what I weigh, it doesn't weigh right. So, just need to put about a pound in here of honey. Already got about 2 pounds. That looks like that might be it. Let me make sure. And do a quick jerk here. Yeah, it looks like about where I need to be. I might have to back sweeten this stuff, but for the most part, it usually comes out okay. You know, some people say I've seen some people use 2 pounds, I've seen people use 3 pounds. I personally use between 3 and 3.5 pounds every time. 90% of the time I do not have to back sweeten, but there's been occasions that I do. But very, very easy to make mead. Extremely easy. Sorry, you know, I'm not a pro. I don't have all like the 20 different camera angles. But so, one, make sure that you sanitize everything, okay? Use Star San. I sanitize the jar. After I wash them and everything, I clean them out. I sanitize them again before I use them. I keep sanitizing water that I keep all my spoons and whatnot in. So this is going to go in here, and we are just going to start stirring, and we are going to add more water after we get this good and mixed up. So what you want to do is not just blend this, but you're also aerating the meat, the mixed, your must. So as much air as possible in that. And that's why I like these open containers. I'll show you here. I don't use a carboy. I use the big open, big mouth. So much easier to clean. So much easier to, that's my raspberry I got going on. So much easier to clean, so much easier just to get in there and mix it and put everything that you want in there. And I just find it more convenient to use this. I only brew 2 or 3 gallons at a time. That's just, I don't know. This honey's expensive. And I mean, this is 5 pounds, it's $25. So, for some reason, I just don't think that's that looks like that's a pound of honey. Yeah, it says it is, so we'll trust that then. If you like your honey, if you like your meat a little sweeter, you know, I've done a 4-pound honey before. I do not recommend doing 4 pounds of honey ever. It's just super duper sweet, hurt your teeth sweet, and I like sweet stuff. For people that have never tried mead before, if you don't like, honey or really very sweet wines, like, sorry, I need some more water here. And that's by gallons of water. Just purified. Don't use sink water. Don't use tap water. It's like anything else. Your meat's going to be affected and taste whatever you put in there. You put purified, good, clean water in there, it's going to taste better. You put sink water in there, it's probably going to taste worse. Use pure, good ingredients. Keep all your stuff clean. Let's stir that for now. But mead is supposed to be sweet, right? It's not supposed to be dry or, like a Merlot or something. It's supposed to be extremely sweet, but it's very easy to make. If I'd have known this when I was 17, I'd have been in a lot of trouble. So right now, this is basically a must. This is just water and honey, okay? Now we are going to then add, I know people say, raisins aren't in, this is, if you're a mead person, the raisins aren't nutrition. Whatever. I've heard this and that they are, that they aren't. I make more of a traditional mead. I make sure that I chop up my raisins, okay? I don't just throw them in there because how's it going to get into the middle of it? So I throw in a few raisins, all right, about a handful of chopped raisins. And then I personally also throw in 1 cinnamon stick. It has been sealed, of course. Glad I kept a container for these. I throw in 1 cinnamon stick, and I put in 1 clove. Don't ever throw in more than like 1 of these things. These are super potent. 1 clove, maybe 2. Yeah, we'll put in 2 cloves. We'll be dangerous today. And that's it, So you got your honey, 2-3 pounds of honey. I'd say 3. Always go 3. At least 3 pounds of honey. That's what I do. Minimum 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds is what I'd like to be at. 3.5 pounds of honey, purified clean water, 1 cinnamon stick, a clove or 2, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some blueberry this time. So blueberry, and this is just to taste. So what you're going to do is I take a half a tablespoon. Usually I'll just take a tablespoon, but I'm a little more cautious now than before. Some flavors are a little brighter than others. So I will start with, there's 1 tablespoon, 1.5, 2 tablespoons. Let's go ahead and do 3. Just to, I don't know where I'm at. And then if anything, I'll probably add 1 more full tablespoon. But that'll work for now. So we're going to stir this up. Mead's very, very easy to make. Extremely easy. So this is your must. People say that you've got to hydrate your yeast and whatnot, but I don't. I do not hydrate my yeast. I use a very, very forgiving yeast. Lavalin EC 1118. This stuff ranges in temperature. The control temperatures of this is between like 50 degrees and 89 degrees, so you don't really have to monitor your temperature as much. And there's enough in here to do like 7 gallons or something like that, 8 gallons. So I'll use half of that, about half. But what I like to do first is get a really good stirring, and then always sample it. It's not going to be as sweet, so when you first sample it, you're kind of just sampling for the flavor of the mead, that blueberry flavor, I should say. You're not really tasting what the end product is going to be, because Get the cloves out of there. The alcohol, the yeast, I should say, is going to soak up a lot of that sugar. I think we're going to go 2 more blueberry, 2 more half tablespoons of blueberry. Okay, that should be good. And I just want that, when I make it, some people want that blueberry right up on the front end, you know, like the smell to be really blueberry and the taste to be blue, which you can, especially with a mallow meal. But all my meads that I've been making that I kind of seem to enjoy and really easy is to put that taste just right on the back end. Like, you know what I mean? You taste honey right away, and then right at the back of the palate, right as the mead comes to a finish, you're gonna have that blueberry. So, like I said, I'm just going to continue to aerate this. I'm going to wash this cup that I just used to sample. Okay, this is very important. Keep everything super duper clean. Okay, do not short yourself. Don't be in a hurry. Don't just dip and then double dip and then take out your spoon and taste it and rinse it off and put it back in there. Mead is pretty antifungal, but I take a chance, you know. I've seen videos where people are doing this and they're squirting water out of a garden hose and sanitize. And I don't know, man. I just feel like the cleaner the utensils and the water and everything is, the better the meat's going to be. Perfect. And you can also, like I said, when you go to rack this, which I'm going to let this sit for about 2 months, and then I'm going to rack it. I'm going to take this and I'm going to probably put it in another one this size, another gallon, and I'm going to let that sit for another month or 2, and then I will rack it into bottles. To show you some of the bottles I have. I don't do the small beer bottles, I do like the big wine type bottles. Got the corker on top, so easy. Fill it up with a gravity pump, gravity filler, and then these seal on, and then I'll put this in the fridge and try to let it sit another 4 or 5 months, but I tend to drink my mead pretty quick while it's still in the green stage after about 2 months. And you can, it's drinkable after 2 months. But the longer you let this age and let the flavors mold and refine and blend together, the better this mead will be. But like I said, I have a really big problem with drinking mead, so after about 2 months, and I get compliments on my mead all the time. Keep it simple. KISS. Sure, it's nice to have these barley mixes and these mallow meals, and I did a mallow meal. I did a pound of fresh blueberries that I crushed up and I stuck them in here and let it sit for about a month, and then pulled it out, and it was amazing. But it's so much work. And then I did an orange. I can tell you this much: never mix orange blossom honey with oranges, with blood oranges. Too much orange. Tastes like Band-Aid. So simple. I keep mine very simple. I use extracts for my flavoring. 3.5 pounds of honey. I'm gonna stir and keep stirring. When you think you're done stirring, stir a little more. And keep stirring. And then I'm gonna throw in about half a package of this, right? Stir it a little bit more. Put on my cap, right? And these, go buy it. People say you can use balloons, which you can. You can use balloons. These are $1 at your local beer store. Just use those. They fit right in the lid. Boom, done. And then I'm going to put these back, like I said, for about 2 months. Then I'm going to rack it into another jar just like this to get all the settlement out. And let it set another month or 2, and then I'm going to rack it into bottles. And I'm going to try to let them bottles sit another 2 or 3 months. But I usually end up drinking it before I even rack it. So the second time. So, have any questions, comments? Let me know. Also, I found it very, very easy to tape, label, the marker, write the date on the tape along with what it is, blueberry. You know, and in that way, you know what means what, especially if you're making more than one jar of this at a time. I've gotten confused before. You're going to wash the lid and the tape come off, and you're like, oh, which one is this? So, once again, when I rack this, if it's not sweet enough or if I don't taste that blueberry, I will add a little more blueberry when I put it in another jar just like this, and maybe back sweeten it, but you got to make sure that it's after that 2-month mark, because you don't want the yeast to start re-fermenting again. Because if you do it too soon, like after 10 days, and you rack it, and it's not sweet enough, so you add a little more honey, you might start another brewing reaction of the yeast going back to work. So make sure that yeast is dead. So give it that 2 months before you try to back sweeten or add more flavor. All right, so Shab out.